Hey guys, Stitches here, and this is a bit of a different video than I normally make because this video is a bit of an unboxing video. Um, the closest thing I've done to this was the Christmas special where I did the chocolate orange. But this isn't just chocolate orange. This is actually something gaming related. And it's something I've been wanting to get for a while, but I haven't really had a reason to get it. But I wanted to talk about it um, because I will probably be using it in future Let's Plays. And to start, I'm going to have to talk about Nintendo Switch Online. So when Nintendo Switch Online was revealed, it started with NES games. You were going to be able to play pretty much any NES game you wanted for free as long as you had the Switch Online subscription. Meaning, if you were paying for the Switch Online subscription, if you're doing $20 a year, it's basically peanuts for any NES game you wanted. It's been a bit divisive. Some people don't like it very much. Some people, in fact, think it's a scam because you don't actually own the games. And this is a very fair criticism. I definitely think I prefer Virtual Console a little better, though Switch Online does have some neat features I am a fan of, such as online play and rewind. That's a feature I've been very fond of, especially because some of those older games have weird glitches that can occur that obviously were never fixed because, games weren't updated back then, so you couldn't just, patch a glitch after release. But with Switch Online came a bit of a sort of weird peripheral Nintendo decided to do, which is Nintendo decided to make these Nintendo Switch Online controllers. These are the NES ones. There is one, I believe, for each different service, with the exception of Game Boy Advance and with the exception of the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance services, in which you can honestly just use this one. So, yeah. So this is the NES. These are the NES controllers. This is probably going to be mirrored. I'll have to mirror it in post. Now that I think about it, so you guys can actually see the text properly. But, yeah, the NES controllers. I've been wanting these for, a little bit. Haven't really had a chance to get them. And there's a bit of an interesting story behind these. If you look at the top, it says Nintendo Switch Online. To purchase these from Nintendo, because you can only get them from Nintendo's website, they don't sell these in stores typically. I think I've only ever seen them in stores once. And I think the store got in trouble for selling them, but I'm not super sure if I even saw them there in the first place. But these are the NES controllers that can only be bought if you have an active Switch Online subscription. Now, this isn't a super hard requirement to beat. I just think it's a little weird that they're hard barring it behind having a Switch Online service, because it's if I'm willing to pay. By the way, these were $80 or something like that. I spent quite a bit on these, and I'm going to see in the later half of this video, because this video is going to be split into two segments, one of which is the unboxing segment. Well, I guess three if you count this intro segment, but there's also going to be the unboxing segment where I flip to my point of view, and then there's going to be a segment of me recording from my computer talking about how these are going to be working, how these work on the actual system. because obviously I haven't tested them yet. They're still in the box. Like, I literally pulled this out of the mail like yesterday. It was either yesterday or the day before that. I think it was yesterday. I pulled these out of the mail. Was gonna do a video on it. Instead, I started watching a show with a friend called Three Body Problem. But that's besides the point. Also, sorry my hair is messy, but you're only gonna see it for this first part of the video anyway, so Anyways, let's go ahead and swap the perspective now and get this unboxing going. Alright. Sorry about if I'm a little breathy. I realized that I didn't actually have all the materials on hand that I thought I did. So anyway, here we have the actual controllers. So this box, it's kind of simple. If we look on the back, it says set of 2 NES controllers for the Nintendo Switch system. These controllers are for use with Nintendo Switch Online games. Before you're using the controllers, you need to pair and charge them. And that's about all they say. It's also just got a diagram showing that these can actually slip onto the side of the console, which this is the only 2 controllers that actually can. The other ones instead are just USB-C. So they actually just require a USB cord, and I think come with one. There's also a little notice over here that controllers do not have Joy-Con compatibility. And it's only compatible with Switch systems. But, other than that, you know, pretty good. So getting this open, it's got 2 little latches on each side. Also, sorry, my table is kind of dusty. It hasn't been used in some time. But, yeah. So let's go ahead and get these out. And I'm really curious to see how they feel. So they just kind of come in this box frame. You know, nothing special to it. Oops. And review's over because I just broke them. But yeah, here they are. I'll go ahead and take one of them out. Geez, they've been in the packaging for so long. You can see, like, the marking. So here's one of them. It looks like this one is for this side. So this looks like it's the left one. But, you know, it feels pretty solid. There's bumpers on this, which are not present on the normal NES controller, which I'll show off in a minute. I have it one right here in a sandwich bag. But yeah, everything seems to feel pretty good. Feels fresh. Buttons click okay. These are rubber, so that's nice. In Japan only, you can actually get Famicom ones. And I'm actually curious. I thought about trying to get those, but anyway, over here off screen right this second. Here, let me clear these off. So we have some space to work with. So off screen, I actually have an authentic NES controller. So it's going to be a bit yellowed. But here we are. Let me just get that wire. So here we are. They are pretty much the same size. A lot of attention to detail. It looks like there might be some small dimensional differences. This moves around, this does not. But it looks like there's some small dimensional differences. There's obviously the top. For whatever reason, if we look over here, there's like a little notch here. And I'm not too sure what that's about. We've also got the latch release button here. And this also has some text on the back. Contains, some other stuff. Warnings, and it just says Nintendo controller. It's like kind of surreal to have this though, because it almost feels like those like bootlegs where it'll be like the all-in-one, like NES console or like Famicom NES Super Console where it's got like those controllers. It's got like wireless bootleg versions of the actual controllers. And they're just like mid. But yeah, like holding these two controllers, like if I press the buttons, they're about the same tensile. Start and select buttons. And lastly, the D-pads, which feel very different, but I think this is just due to usage over time. The NES controller also, for whatever reason, this one has a little like notch out of the plastic there. I don't actually know what that's about. But yeah, if we actually look on the back, it also says Nintendo controller on the back in a very similar way it says over here. Obviously, this one says made in Japan, though, and doesn't have all those fucking labels on it because this was the 80s. They didn't give a shit about that. So, a few things I'm noticing off the bat is if I put these close together, if the camera will focus, I think the buttons are slightly bigger on the Switch one. And I think they're spaced slightly differently. Like, it's kind of hard to tell because I can't really get them side by side. But if we, like, look, it feels like these are, like, smaller and these ones are bigger. These ones also just feel deeper. Like, there's more of a curve to the buttons, whereas these ones are flatter. But, yeah, I'm gonna get up real quick because I wanna test something on camera real quick. All right, so I've come back with a Joy-Con grip piece. This specifically, if you recognize it, is the Skyward Sword one from my Skyward Sword Joy-Cons. But these slide onto like the rails, so I'm curious to see what this actually like looks like. If I slide this one on here, it looks like this, and it does seem to work. And I'm actually like, I don't hate it. So like, I'm curious because like this doesn't seem to be intended. So like, it feels okay. Like, it feels surprisingly well. I'd imagine you can get like fan-made versions of these that come to the actual dimensions, so it makes this controller more curved. I also imagine you could 3D print something. Like you could 3D print your own little grip. But like overall, I feel like this actually feels really nice. Especially because this works as, I believe, the Game Boy Advance controller as well. So, you know, you can do with this what you will. That's part of the reason I got this, was actually because I want to play more like NES games on the channel through Switch Online. I'd prefer to use like an actual NES controller, and I don't have a USB one, so it is what it is. Another thing is that, remember, because this uses Joy-Con technology, this is Bluetooth. This is a Bluetooth controller, so you can pair this to like any sort of Bluetooth controller compatible device. I think even if you have a modded Wii U, you can pair this up using Blue Pair. So, you know, there is that going for it. But yeah, that'll be it for this unboxing portion. So the next portion of the video, I forgot to show the back actually. There's a little lip here. That's fine. That doesn't really bother me. But yeah, so that's it for the unboxing portion of the video. So the next portion of the video is going to be me showing off how it controls and like what its compatibility limitations are. I'd imagine it's on a per game basis, but I've picked out some games I'd like to try with it. Some of which are games which at the minimum require these buttons to play. And others are games that, you know, like I'm going to try to mess with it, see if I can play games that that wouldn't work with this. I'm going to play some games that are intended to work with this. I'm going to see some that theoretically should work, like Undertale, for example. Undertale, if you don't know, can be played on an NES controller, which I think was part of, like, if you map this as like Z, X, C, and then D-pad, it works. So, you know, it's not super complex. But, yeah, we will, sort of see what's going on with that in the next part of the video. So I'll be back with that. So, yeah. It'll probably be filmed much later, though, so I'll probably sound significantly more tired or more energized. I'll definitely sound different because I'll be at my computer, so, yeah. See you guys in the, that part. Really quick before we move on to the next segment, there is actually a few notes that I just noticed as I was, like, getting ready to stop. Which is, so here's the other one. This is the right one. So these actually slide on to the side of the console on like two separate ways. So you can actually attach these both to a console. I can actually stand up and grab a Switch console if I wanted to. There's literally one within my eyesight. But it's technically not mine. I also don't want to mess with it in case it messes with the pairing process or anything. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. Also, I want to note there's no home button on here, which is an interesting choice. You think they would have like put a home button on here for compatibility, but no. It like just doesn't have a home button. So, I think that's interesting. That's going to actually add into the compatibility problems, I think, for a little bit. Because while the home button isn't ever mapped in a game, I think that's definitely going to take away from the tactile experience. There's also one thing I wanted to mention. I believe this is the only one of two controllers in the Nintendo Switch Online set that actually come in a 2-pack. I believe the Super Nintendo ones do as well. I might be wrong about that. I know the N64 one does not, and I know the Sega Genesis one does not either. So, yeah, that's really all I had to say. I just wanted to add those extra thoughts in first before we move on. All right, so here we are on the console end of the Switch. As you can see, if I go to controllers, I have the two NES controllers hooked on the side, which is interesting that they have a sprite for this. And it does actually recognize them as separate controllers. As you can see, they're fully charged. We're here almost 12 hours later doing this. So, yeah, as you can see, I've been testing them out. I did not test them with this. This is just here. So, really quick, I want to show what happens if you open Switch Online under normal circumstances. Specifically, if you open NES Online. You get this. Like, this is the normal loadout. And, you know, you're gonna hear this. Okay, so now let's close out of it. Or now let's go ahead and switch our controllers around. To our NES controller. And now let's go back in. It plays the Mario Mushroom sound effect. The sidebar turns white. There's new controls, being you can now screenshot with L and press home with R. Additionally, if we move, we now get this other Mario sound effect from Super Mario 3. So, how does it control? Well, it controls like you'd expect an NES controller too. I mean, it's not gonna... I mean, it's not really gonna change much. It's not gonna change much. This is the teaser for Let's Plays to come. But, you know. It is what it is. So now what happens if we boot it up, if we boot up the Game Boy version of Switch Online with this controller? Well, it's actually kind of disappointing, but nothing happens. You don't get a sidebar, and you can't check details or anything because there's no X or Y button. The way this is handled internally, from my understanding in terms of like how the actual controller inputs work, it's just that the ID for which buttons are which. It's A and B are A and B. Start is plus. Select is minus. The bumpers are the bumpers and the D-pad is the D-pad. Now, I do want to talk about something interesting, which is regarding the statement on the box that, you know, that, by the way, you can't exit out of this if you open it with the NES controller. Instead, what you have to do is now you have to go back to the menu using, like, a Pro controller. But what I found interesting was when I connected the controller and attempted, just out of curiosity, to use it with, like, this on the screen, like, in the diagram there. It shows, like, you know, a left one and a right one. If you try to use it like that, it will actually let you use it, and the buttons do actually get mapped. When I double tapped what would be down on the left one, so if I press like left, or if I double tap right, the rightmost D-pad button, which, so if you rotated the controller in its orientation, it would be the rightmost controller's down button. If I double tap that, it actually brought me into the mode that happens if you double tap home, which I thought was interesting. I thought it was interesting, to say the least. Unfortunately, I do not have the expansion pass because I think it's a ripoff to even get it. Unless you're doing like a family subscription, then it's kind of worth it. But, yeah. So, that's that. What is interesting is here, the controller actually looks different, which makes me think that at one point, maybe they were just gonna have, like, a singular sprite. I think the Famicom controllers actually have their own sprites and everything. I'm not super sure. Actually, I want to see something. So if I take a Joy-Con and put it on this bracket, come on. There we go. That's a weird looking sprite there. I was just curious. Oops. Don't worry about that. I accidentally just pulled it out of the dock a little bit. So, I mentioned earlier seeing how Undertale would handle it. Alright, sorry for the abrupt cut. For whatever reason, my capture card stopped functioning, froze, and I needed to reinitialize OBS. So, really quick, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to exit out of Undertale real quick to show that it works with Undertale. I was curious because Undertale was designed with the design philosophy of being very similar to, Mother. So, for example here, if I go into this menu, we can actually see what each of the buttons are mapped to. So obviously A is A, there's B, there's right bumper, left bumper. Start maps to plus and select maps to minus. And you know, here we can see that everything works as intended. So, you know, here we can see everything. And, yeah, I'll go ahead and show how it is in battle real quick. I never claimed to be good at this. But yeah, everything does work as intended. So, you know, there's that. Anyways, let's move on to a bit more of a bit of a more complex game, but one that still uses NES style controls, Mega Man Legacy Collection. But yeah, we can see that we can actually map things to the correct options and everything. So if we go ahead and hop in the game real quick. And, I don't know, hop into, like, Cutman stage. I forgot about that. It even seems to work here. You can play Mega Man as intended. You can play Mega Man the Lord's way. I don't know. But I don't know, I think it's neat that it actually just isn't hard barred. God, this brings back memories to my first Let's Play, doesn't it? Oh well, that's not what we're here to do. Like I mentioned, you cannot hit the home button. There's certain games I think this wouldn't work for. Just at all. World of Goo, for one, you can't use peripheral controllers. You have to use a Joy-Con to play it. Smash Brothers Ultimate, maybe. Let's go ahead and try it with Smash Brothers Ultimate. I am actually curious because the D-pad and the circle stick actually have... The D-pad and the control stick actually have two different functions in this game. So I guess this is the first form of Smash Brothers content you're going to see on this channel. So anyway, let's go ahead and try modified controllers. So currently it detects this as one of these controllers. So it recognizes this as the D-pad. Meaning you can't move. But, so yeah, this game is completely unplayable. Because of the fact you just can't... One, there's no way to jump, because there's no X or Y button to even jump. Not only that, but the majority of buttons used to actually play this game don't actually show up on this controller. So you're not going to be using this controller to play much of really anything outside of what is allowed or what is convenient. But, yeah, that's pretty much how that goes. So, you know, it's an NES controller. It's really used for as much as you'd think it would be used for. There's nothing really else to go over with it. This is really it. Like I said, you can use it for Game Boy. It doesn't have full functionality like it does with the NES version, though. So... I think with that... that's like about all there really is to go over with this, so... Yeah, I just wanted to do a nice little video going over these controllers and, you know, how weird they are. I probably will be using these in Let's Plays in the future. Not that you guys would actually know, because you guys don't see the controller. And I have no way to do an input thing, an input tracker. So, yeah. That's that. So, if you want to see more content from me, you can always hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, I suggest hitting the like button. If you want to be notified when I upload more videos, you can hit the bell icon that will let you get notifications on your device whenever I go live. Or not whenever I go live, but rather whenever I go and upload a video. If you want to see me live stream, you can go to my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Stitches_Johnson. And I occasionally stream there. I try to stream there once a week. Right now I'm on a break from streaming just because I just finished a big game in terms of streaming, and I don't want to get too ahead on VODs since I try to have the VODs come out a week within occurrence for the most part. Anything that happens on the Twitch channel, you will see here for the most part. I think there was only one time I did something on the Twitch channel that wasn't present here. And I'm not even really sure that that happened. But you can be a part of the content creation live on Twitch. And if you want to, lastly, if you want to support my content, what you can do is you can go to my YouTube page, and one of the links is a Ko-Fi link, or is it Coffee? I don't know. Or is it Ko-Fi? You can hit the Ko-Fi link, and with a minimum of $3, you can make a donation to help support me. We currently don't really have a goal, but it helps keep me going. It helps fuel the content creation. So, yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Later.